Hello and good morning. Today I want to talk about the energetics of cancel culture. How does the energy work? Is this a universal phenomena? How does it make sense in terms of the energetics of the universe? So I'm Prabha. I'm a deep healing coach, and I work with energy within the body, outside the body. I teach people how to work with their energies. This is basically in-body work, but at the distance, using cellular intelligence and your body intelligence. If you want to know more, interested in more talk around body, how it holds on to negative experiences, traumas, and if you want to know how to resolve them or just want to have a conversation around them, you can join my group. I will drop the link in the comments below and you can find it. So, what are the energetics? The reason I'm doing this live actually is I came across something was happening in my social media feed where somebody did something that wasn't quite ethical or kind of misusing someone else's brand, and the person whose brand it was found out, and they kicked up a fuss. Now there were quite a lot of people who were supporting the person whose brand had been infringed upon, and it started me thinking. There were two types of conversations going on. One was we should show charity to the person who has done the infringement because it was a mistake. The other was actually these things are not mistakes because you infringe on someone's brand and that's deliberate. And there was a whole thing, like there was quite a lot of I don't know if you'd call it a witch hunt. I wouldn't go as far, but I could quite clearly see in my head the word came to me as, this could be social media suicide. So what does that mean? That means because a person did something, they are entirely being cancelled out. So their validity and their acceptance is affected because of something that they did. So this is called cancel culture, and there's quite a lot of conversation going on about whether cancel culture is something that is good or bad or what. And I actually don't sit on that side of the debate of good or bad, but for me, I started thinking about the energetics of cancel culture because, cancel culture is only possible when people behave as a group. So we have one kind of goal, we have one ethics, we have one kind of way of looking at things. So usually when a group of people have a singular way of looking at things, you would call them a tribe. You would call them a group, like any kind of a tribe. So human beings, we are tribal creatures. So I thought, let me go back a little bit to see why humans design tribes. So humans design tribes to get a feeling of belonging. So if we wanted a feeling of belonging, we didn't feel satisfied just being on our own. We created tribes so we could live together with people who are close to us, related to us, were similar to us. So it comes actually originally from a sense of belonging. And then you have the tribe, and after some time when you have the tribe, and the tribe has some people who start challenging, questioning, outliers who say, actually I'm not I don't quite agree with what this tribe is about, or actually the rules don't apply to me. It is quite a lot of energetic outlay. So it's like, the main people of the tribe have to spend a lot of effort, energy into bringing these outliers in. So what they do instead, as a very energy efficient thing, is they just try to say, if you're an outlier, I'm going to make an example of you. So they'll make an example of the person by saying, if you do that, I'm gonna basically, humiliate you or something like this. So this is tribal culture. So, and once they make an example of a person, then the other people don't tend to cross that line because they know, okay, if I cross that line, then that's going to happen. So it's really, in universal terms, in energetic terms, it's a way of conserving energy. But it actually starts from a sense of belonging and then actually turns into a punishment because you can't belong if you don't follow the rules, because that's what gave us a sense of belonging. Now, I have a lot of people say, oh, cancel culture, and I think, like, is this really something new? If we go back as far back as we want in human history, whether it was, witch hunting, whether it was, ostracization by a religion, whether it was, I don't know, some cults, everything. This has been going on for a really long time. If you don't agree, you basically don't exist. It's a complete exclusion. So, so in very simple terms, cancel culture is a way to invoke compliance to one's rules with set consequences, with clear consequences of exclusion if you don't follow those rules. So now when we look at it a little bit more deeply, how much of this actual cancel culture underpins everything that goes on in our society? Like from the school system, if you don't listen, you go in the what do you call it? I think they call it the thinking corner. So that's a type of exclusion. Except you're going to be allowed again if you comply. And then religion, obviously, social media groups are also like that. They're just reflecting what's happening in real life, aren't they? So, when can cancel culture exist? What is it that makes cancel culture exist, and what actually is the remedy for cancel culture? So because we all started from a place of belonging, and cancel culture comes from a place of wanting to belong, so what happens in the process that makes it impossible for us to, to not move towards cancel culture? What do we need? So there are two things that are, in my opinion, are required, and I'm really open and really interested in hearing what everybody else thinks, so please drop in the comments. First, this sense of belonging that we are fostering with others, it's kind of a fragile, conditional sense, because we don't actually have a true feeling of oneness with everyone. So we don't actually see another as we see ourselves, because if we did see another as we saw ourselves, we couldn't actually be harsh to them. The thing that we want to do, especially if we come from self-love, is extend compassion to them. So the first thing is we don't have a sense of wellness. And the second is we lack conflict resolution skills. You could say one leads to the other. We could say, they're related. We could say they're one and the same thing. That's up to you. Conflict resolution skills means when you have somebody do something that you don't agree with, instead of jumping and judging them, you actually consider showing compassion to them. So you think about what could have caused that. You try to address the root of the issue. Now, addressing the root of the issue doesn't necessarily, I wouldn't say it's a responsibility of the other person, but generally as a culture, as a tribe, that responsibility would sit within a tribe. So if somebody is not doing as you want them to pull them in closer and to build a common understanding. So every time somebody sets up for conflict, from this I would say, the next step, if every time somebody sets up for conflict, they are actually looking for connection. So instead of conflict, it's connection that they seek. If they can get connection, perhaps, that issue won't exist. But again, in this particular case, the social media case, which started off my cancel culture, I think definitely something can be inferred from that, something can be learned from that. How can one create an alternative to exclusion? What would be the alternative? There is obviously a line. One needs boundaries to protect one's assets, but one could have, other options. What would be your other option that didn't involve humiliation? Blocking is an option. Another option would be, seeing what actually is the demand that person's meeting, and maybe creating a product that would fulfill that demand, because, you know, somebody misusing your brand indicates your brand has value. So something along those lines. So yeah. So this cancel culture, sorry, I've made some notes here. So this cancel culture is not just a social media phenomena or tribe phenomena. It's a phenomena that occurs within our bodies as well. Now, I take everything back to the bodies, because when we see things outside and we see things inside, and we can kind of draw the similarities, it makes it easier for us to understand. So, question for you, when has your body been less than optimal in serving you? When has it not done what you needed? And then you decided it wasn't worth investing in. So, when did you, say, have a back pain, or say have a pain in your arms, and you decided the way you're going to deal with it is to ignore it, until it got so bad that you couldn't ignore it anymore. So this is the question. So when we ignore our bodies and we don't resolve the conflict that's set up, then we get chronic illness. That's when we move towards chronic illness. So it's exactly the same thing. What is going on outside is going on within. So even within our body, to extend compassion, to experience our pain as part of ourselves, to the ability to resolve conflict, all these are at the heart of healing. This is what it is. When we experience this, we can navigate conflict, we can navigate healing. If you notice, the common theme in all of this is the absence of judgment. Yeah. So from my experience, this is at the heart of in-body healing, and I believe this is also at the heart of healing as a society level. It's really interesting because I made a comment on someone else's post to say, I actually don't want to judge people for where they stand on the COVID issue. I just want to be able to serve. And I actually got quite a lot of feedback that's like, take a stance, take a stance. But to be honest, to me it's more important that I should be non-judgmental than anything else, because in my personal experience, it's impossible to heal in the presence of judgment. Judgment is the number one thing. I can tell you this from first-hand experience, because I grew up in an environment that was highly judgmental, where my whole validity was taken off, would be taken off, and I knew it would happen whenever I was not within or belonging or part of the tribe, or whenever I didn't subsume myself to the needs of another person. So I know that this is what's happening. So this is the reason I take I'm not really interested in the rights and wrongs of anything. I'm actually really interested in being in that place where judgment doesn't need to exist, so to speak. If you've got any thoughts, please drop it in the comments. I'll drop the link to my group. We have regular free healing circles in the group, so please do join in and participate. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.